Hello and welcome back to the Shed Geek Podcast. Here's a message from our studio sponsor. Let's be real. Running a shed business today isn't just about building great sheds. The industry is changing fast. We're all feeling the squeeze, competing for fewer buyers while expectations keep climbing. And yet, I hear from many of you that you are still juggling spreadsheets, clunky software, or disconnected systems. You're spending more time managing chaos than actually growing your business. That's why I want to talk to you about our studio sponsor, ShedPro. If you're not already using them, I really think you should check them out. ShedPro combines your 3D configurator, point of sale, RTO contracts, inventory, deliveries, and dealer tools all in one platform. They even integrate cleanly into our Shed Geek marketing solutions. From website lead to final delivery, you can quote, contract, collect payment, and schedule delivery in one clean workflow. No more double entries, no more back and forth chaos. Quoting is faster, orders are cleaner. And instead of chasing down paperwork, you're actually running your business. And if you mention Shed Geek, you'll get 25% off all setup fees. Check it out at shedpro.co/ShedGeek. Thank you, ShedPro, for being our studio sponsor, and honestly, for building something that helps the industry.
Welcome back to another episode of the Shed Geek Podcast. Cord Cook coming to you from Metropolis, Illinois on a beautiful, sunny, nearly 60, I believe, degree day. Spring is truly springing here at Shed Quarters. In fact, Troy, Shannon's son, has just completed the first mowing of the year, so we are officially into it. I am joined today by Mr. Matthew Troyer. I'm so excited for this conversation. He is with Delta Sheds, but maybe more importantly, we'll hear from him. He is from Middway Farmacy, F-A-R-M Pharmacy. So I have a feeling that this is going to be a very good, interesting conversation. Lots of entrepreneurial ideas going on there. Before we get rolling, just a couple quick things so you all know how to stay plugged in with us. First and foremost, the Shed Geek hotline, 618-309-3648. That is Shannon's personal cell phone. So please feel free to give him a call, shoot him a text, let him know if we can help add value in any way to you or your operation. Email is info@shedgeek.com. Contact form on our website, which is www.shedgeek.com. Of course, the Facebook page, Shed Sales Professionals, the manufacturers page, all of the pages on Facebook are such a wealth of information and have such good back and forth, so much value being exchanged every day. Be sure to jump into those and participate and really become a part of the community. And for anyone out there who is listening and maybe adjacent to the plane community or know someone in the plane community, please, if they're not already aware, let them know that we do offer the Shed Geek Podcast on our plane community call-in line. That is 330-997-3055. So make sure that all of your friends and relatives and anyone in the plane community knows that they can listen that way. So, having said all of that, I would like to again welcome Mr. Matthew Troyer, Delta Sheds, Middway Farmacy. We were actually just talking before the podcast, local zoning official. So many hats worn by you, Mr. Troyer. Maybe give us a little bit of a rundown. Which of those hats is the heaviest most days? That's always a good question to start with.
Cord, a pleasure to be here. Thanks for the invite. The heaviest hat I would say is running the shed company. That's a car you have to push uphill. Most of the other things are pushing cars downhill.
Right.
No.
Right. And you're in Central PA, so you're in the area where lots and lots of shed companies are operating. So
it's like playing in the NFL here.
That's right. You got to be a pro. You can't drop that pass or you're out of the league.
Right.
Well, that's good. Well, then maybe the thing to do then is to focus on those downhill pushes or the lightest hat. I know that that you were just telling me through email as we were getting kind of scheduled and arranging to do a podcast a little bit about the Midway Pharmacy, Middway Pharmacy, Farmacy. And man, it's just such a strong entrepreneurial innovative concept. I won't spoil it. I won't keep describing it for you, but maybe tell us about that downhill push, the fun push.
The fun push. So back in 2018, I bought a mobile home dealership property. It had been it had been sitting empty for probably 15 years. Like the people had worked on a Wednesday and Thursday, they never came back in, and it sat here for years.
Oh, man.
And long story short, 2018, I purchased it, chest high weeds and brush, garbage, junk everywhere, cleaned the property up, wasn't sure what I was going to do with it, but I knew I would do something with it. And I had been bitten by the self-storage industry pretty badly at a young age. I just loved the idea of selling something all year, and then the following year it's still yours to sell again.
Yep.
And I like that. So anyways, I bought this piece of property. There's 14 acres, and it being a mobile home dealership, it was all solid, usable, a lot of big paved areas. And it just took a lot of cleanup and a lot of work getting it cleaned up and back in, back to usable space. But I didn't know what I was going to do with it. And the first thing I did was, well, let me back up. The name of it, the Midway name, when I did the self-storage and I needed an LLC and a name, Midway with one name or one D was already taken. So I had to go with two Ds simply because everybody in this area knew this location as the old Midway Homes place. I couldn't get away from the Midway name. I had to stick to it. Everybody in the area automatically knows where it is.
Yeah, well, place names. I was telling you, place names live so much further into time
Yeah.
than the official, whether it's a business or a village or a little incorporated community or whatever it is. I was saying to you, funny enough, I grew up in Midway here in Massac County.
Yeah.
And so we always were kind of proud Midway people, which here means German, Lutheran. It's like where that group of people settled. And so it was very much a part of our heritage. But yeah, absolutely. You don't want to ruin your branding, you don't want to ruin that little space that you occupy in people's heads right off the bat by throwing
Right.
away the thing that how they know how to get there.
Everybody knows it by. I couldn't get rid of it. And like not many, I mean, people know who Mount Troyer is, but everybody knows where the Midway Homes place is.
Right, right.
So it made sense to keep that. And then I had to do the two Ds to get the domain name because one D was taken. So that's how it started with Midway Self Storage. And then there was just different things added. And there was an old building on it that I had retrofitted to become a garage. And I was a mechanic by trade in my younger years. And a gentleman, how the whole pharmacy started, a gentleman stopped in from up the road. He had seen the cleanup and the activity and stuff going on over the years. And this is years into it. He stopped, he was a local beef farmer, and he wondered what I thought about a self-serve meat shed. And I thought, well, and this was probably I'm going to say 2021
Yep.
ish, a couple years ago now. And I'm like, sure, let's try it. Like it can't hurt. So it started with the meat shed and it's self-serve 24/7 with local antibiotic free. He raises them, sends them to a USDA kill facility, gets them processed, and then they're retail sold. in the shed. And that's all it was for close to 2 years. And my sister had told me about the fresh milled wheat. I don't know, are you familiar with that? The fresh milled wheat, the wheat berry ground up and used to make bread, the way bread was made 100 years ago.
I'm familiar with the concept, and
Okay.
I know that sourdough has really taken off as far as a home. People are now, gosh, I would say that probably five or six of my friends' wives, keep like a sourdough, starter, a sourdough dough ball, ready at all times, and just continuously are baking sourdough. So I would assume it's kind of roughly in that same category of that sort of homemade, freshly milled type of something.
Digital Shed Builder is an online shed configurator that strives to provide incredible visual quality, fantastic customer service, and an amazingly low price point, making it a perfect fit for any shed dealer looking to increase their online sales. Digital Shed Builder is simple to use, taking less than 5 minutes to integrate on your site. The Get a Quote feature streamlines your sales process, showing you exactly what your potential customers need. They offer a highly customizable experience that accurately represents your brand and unique shed offerings, working with you directly to set up everything you need in a configurator. With no extra startup cost, no lengthy contracts or commitments, and no hidden fees, Digital Shed Builder has been created with quality, simplicity, and affordability in mind.
Yeah, well said. Very, very well described. So what it is when they grind flour, all the goodies are sifted off of it. All your minerals, nutrients, all your goodies are sifted off so that the flour itself lasts longer on the shelf. Commercial food,
Right.
but all of what your body needs is gone.
Nutrition.
Now they remove 35 or 36 different things. Don't hold me to the exact number, but they remove most of it and put seven of the essentials back in, and they call it enriched. If you look at the ingredients,
Right.
enriched white flour is in everything. So anyways, I had a problem with consistent, regular bowel movements, we'll say.
Sure.
And had dealt with it for years. My sister told me about this fresh milled wheat bread, which is the wheat berry ground up in its original form, and all 35 things are still in it. So me and a buddy of mine made a loaf of this bread on a Sunday afternoon, and Monday was one of the best days of my life from just a healthy, normal. It changed my life. Really, it did. I had gotten so used to feeling poorly. And then on that one day, everything changed. And so anyways, I was telling the lady that cuts my hair about this fresh milled bread. And there was two elderly ladies in the waiting room waiting to get their hair cut. And she's like, where can I buy this bread? And I'm like, nowhere, but give me about 24, 48 hours and I'll have something put whipped into shape.
Right.
So long story short, I called a lady that had a licensed kitchen and I wondered if she would bake this bread for me. And I drug one of the old sheds off the shed lot down into the row
Right.
beside the meat shed and had her bake this fresh bread for me, set up a table, threw 8 or 10 loaves of bread on it, and within 24 hours, they had all sold it too. And she baked 8 more. Long story short, this thing took off. She calls me and she's like, hey, do you mind if we add some other things to the bread shed? Is what that shed had been called then.
Great branding.
And I'm like, no. Like that's a great idea. Add some stuff, but it has to be healthy. You have to be able to pronounce all the ingredients.
Right.
It has to be good for you. It has to leave the area. It has to leave the world a better place than you found it, type of thing. So I'm like, go for it. So she started bacon bread for it and other goodies, and it took off. I mean, it was mind blowing. Like I would have never believed it had I not seen it in person, the way it took off. And then we had a guy come in and stole some money. And she put that on Facebook that we were temporarily closing to get some security measures corrected, and it just blew up, like it went viral
Now,
overnight.
now
The
people are
bread
ready
shed
to support
and
it
the meat shed. Yes,
just
yes,
to make sure that whoever the wrongdoer there was doesn't get the better of someone trying to do something good.
yes,
You
yes.
like
And
you love
and
to see that. Yeah.
the support from the community was just, I mean, it was really, it really reminded you, it restores faith in humanity.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so then, yeah, that was then the bread shed became massively popular, still is to this day. You can look up the bread shed of Beaver Springs on Facebook, and they have a couple thousand followers. And there's a family that does the baking for it. They stock it, they run it, and then just pay me rent. And same with the meat shed, his meat. And we sell out of that shed, he sells raw milk, honey, maple syrup, free range chickens, pigs that he raises and has processed. So it's like the only way I'll let you in to sell something is it has to be by locals, for locals, and actually good for you.
That's right. What a
And then we,
powerful concept. I mean, really. And it's one that is catching on. I mean, this is not just good, it's not just all for good feelings, but it's good business at this point, right? I mean, this not only helps your community and does all of those things, help people be healthier and more nutritious and hopefully help kids grow up healthier and have less ailments and the whole run of the gamut. But at this point, this next generation, the kids who are, my little brother, for example, my little brother and his wife, they're 30, I'm 35. That little bit of an age gap is so much more aware of all of the of what they're taking into their bodies, right? And I think everyone's waking up to it slowly, just like it takes grandma, a couple extra years to get the smartphone.
right.
It's all they still have them. I mean, at least my grandmother certainly she texts me or emails me every day, but but everyone's coming around to it, but really led by this younger generation. As you said, a lot of that awareness came from what we, in the shed industry and probably around the world call that COVID era, where everyone winds up inside, very aware of the health threats to them, and wind up doing some of these much more self-sufficient, much more natural ways of doing things. So at this point, back to my kind of original comment there, this isn't just to feel good or anything like that. It's a good business opportunity.
It is. It's a win-win-win. And I always said, so the idea was never about money. It had nothing to do with money. The property here, so I have a trucking company that rents from me. There's a garage building here that I used to work in that I have rented out. There is an equipment company that has a location here. I have the self-storage. We have the shed lot here. Property has been very, very good to me. And to whom much is given, much is expected. And it was never, that little market was always just for fun because I could, kind of thing. And I stumbled into this self-serve healthy pharmacy idea, and it's now like we have. I mean, it generates monthly income. The suppliers, it's worth, like, they pay rent to be here,
Yeah.
and there's not almost nonstop traffic through it.
Right. And it's really a take on, so there are a couple different business models that are similar. Um, I've actually went to and filmed and done promo videos for individual micro farms or individual farms who are kind of taking this concept and putting their own little market out at the road where everything in that is from that individual farm. And that's good. There's nothing, I mean, that's a great idea, right? That's contributing. But the thought process of saying, or just kind of finding your way, into this thought process where I believe I've got the list here. I believe you now have meat shed, bread shed, egg shed, and soap shed, right? Where
That's right.
you're pretty well top to bottom on nutrition, as far as anything a person realistically. I mean, you could do all of your grocery shopping more or less, at least for a simple diet, at these, and then also have the soaps, lotions, natural, all natural things that we're then putting on our skin, which is probably the second most harmful thing that we don't think about. But it's really taking that concept of the individual farmers market out at the road, and expanding it into something that's kind of akin to what you actually see there in Central PA, which are the Amish markets, which are traditionally under one roof, of course. But I mean, you're really bringing all those same types of products into the same little confined area, and you match that up with good road traffic, and you get good results. I mean, it's awesome. So tell us a little bit about. I like this idea of the soap shed because my grandmother growing up, she was always had the natural soaps. They always smelled so much better. They filled the whole house with this feeling of clean instead of this feeling of like stinging your nose.
Yeah. Yeah. Has a gentle smell to it.
Yes. I mean, almost relaxing.
Yeah.
And so that sort of Amish market concept, and I've even seen where people do the food trucks, which of course that's prepared food, but it's the same idea. You can stop in one place, you have multiple vendors, and you're getting a selection of anything and everything you could want, in those food categories, and even soap. I think it's so good. So maybe walk me through a little bit of the structure, or maybe what you've learned up to this point, because it sounds like you did have a little bit of an issue with some ne'er-do-wells, taken out of the cookie jar, so to speak there. Like, what is, because I know talking with you off air, your heart is definitely to see these kinds of concepts expand and really have this, grown for locals, by locals, to grow a healthier community. So maybe walk people through the mechanics of what have you learned. If someone would like to adopt this, like, what are your little tips where you can say, here's maybe the best way to structure it that makes sure that, you're not having any of those little hiccups that you've learned from.
Hey, Shed Geek listeners. I'm Joe Ignis, owner of Velocity 360. At Velocity, we know the frustration of spending thousands on ads with no visibility on what's actually converting. Most leads simply get lost or never called. Ask yourself, does your team respond to every lead within 60 seconds? If they're unresponsive, do they follow up at least 14 times? The reality is your team should be closing, not chasing. They don't have enough time to follow up like they should. All that manual follow-up is exhausting, and it distracts from your hottest leads. Problem solved. Velocity 360 is a white glove, turnkey, shed-specific CRM solution for your sales team. We increase your lead response rate to over 60% without any extra effort from your staff. They just need to pick up the phone and start the conversation once the lead responds. We give you total visibility. You'll see your conversion rates, average sales price, and exactly which ads generate the most revenue and more. No more flying blind. We speak Shed. It's all we do. With 100% American-based support, we build the system for you. We don't just show you how it works. We build it how you want it to work. Stop leaving revenue on the table. Call us at 865-672-8175 or visit velocity360crm.com/sheds to book your call today.
So the first thing I would say is you want a 1/4-inch thick steel money box.
Right. Weld that baby up.
First thing, and cameras, lots of cameras, and there's something about when somebody pulls in and they know that you 100% trust them to do the right thing without meeting them, it brings out the wanting to do the right thing out of almost everybody. And like, so the guy stole like, I don't know, $150, and we got 5 grand worth of publicity from it. So did he really steal anything from us, or did he give us a big, or did he do us a huge favor? It all depends how you look at it. But as far as somebody wanting to do this in, let's say, Illinois, it's very simple, practically no startup cost. Drag a shed down. Like I did, I just ran an extension cord into the one window to light it at first.
Yeah.
And you can start with either, if you have the licensed kitchen, you can make your own products. A lot of the like the Amish and Mennonite, a lot of the plain community, they would have, young girls at home, or they're creative, and so you could either stock it yourself or just find anybody in the area, like utilize what you have. And it doesn't have to be a meat shed and a bread shed and a soap shed. It could be a produce shed, or it could be I mean, it's endless. The homestead vibe, the just healthier, chemical free, like that's a very wide ranging topic that you can do anything with it. Just going the healthier route.
Had you adopted some of those? Had you adopted some of those practices personally before this concept started, or was this concept part of your journey to actually saying, "Gosh, maybe maybe I need to consider, some of these whatever they call it, non-GMO, non-fertilizer, all the things that we know are non-pesticide, all those types of things." Talk a little bit about, if you don't mind, because you're obviously passionate about it, and I know that passion grows out of experience. So how did that come about for you?
So it was largely I was never like a big, I never drank soda really. I would
I'll say that as I
always,
take a sip. Oh gosh, it's awful. Drinking like, ugh.
no pun intended. I didn't mean it that way. I always drank water. I always ate real food. Like I always tried to eat real food, just as to make it a habit, so that I could do, because then if I wanted to eat a candy bar, like you can do almost anything and eat anything as long as it's only once a year.
In
It's
moderation, right? Yep.
if you have general good habits, you don't have to worry about overeating because you're at a steakhouse and it's just delicious, and you don't get it very often. So you eat more than you should. Well, it doesn't matter if you do it a couple of times a year, whatever. But the fresh milled bread and the constipation was the big switch for me.
Turning point.
The way it improved my quality of life in 24 hours, I felt better. I would get rashes, dry rashes on my arm over winter. They went away. I mean, it was magical what it did to me. I had a shine in my eye and a hop in my step from Monday on. And it's just so I know I wasn't a big health freak, or like a big natural foodie. I didn't even, I still to this day don't even have a garden at my house, because I have access to good stuff. I don't have to mess with it.
Right. Right. I've heard that so often from, a lot of my friends, have wound up, a lot of the friends I grew up with, we're here in Southern Illinois, and it's just natural. The opportunity is down in Nashville, Tennessee is really the closest kind of regional hub. And so many of my friends have wound up down there. And, not that there's anything necessarily different about being in a city or in a rural area at this point. I mean, the junk food and everything is everywhere.
It is.
But
And it's become so normalized. It's everywhere. And I always said, if you can buy it at a Dollar General, you shouldn't eat it.
yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, how many times has it been processed? You know what I mean? How
Yeah.
something that's shelf stable for, 18 months at a time is, is that's like formaldehyde, You know,
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
is. It is.
uh,
And big food makes it. Big Pharma is there to save the day, and they send each other customers. It's a terrible cycle. And I always looked at this, my little pharmacy, if it makes a positive difference in one kid's life, it's a huge win. It was never about the money, but it turned into something that I now has to be taken serious. And I'd love to see it on every shed lot across the country. A little self-serve, like it's 24/7. It only requires a daily check-in from the owner's perspective.
right.
The vendors, you can stock it twice a week or every day or however you want to, but it's shocking how well it works and how little input it takes to start.
Yeah, yeah, really and truly. You know, I was just thinking about how many of my friends that have kind of moved down to Nashville. So many of them have similar stories. Now, I don't, you know, some of them think it's gluten or think it's this or that, but you know, thankfully I've never had, you know, like a chronic gastrointestinal thing, but it just drains you. I mean, the
Mhm.
feeling that people that my friends have described to me of just having no energy and just really just feeling like your shoulders are heavy, your body's heavy, you know, that is just laborsome. Um, you know, so I mean it's fantastic that you were able to find, you know, such a good health path, you know, through happenstance, you know, through kind of just running into them and then sharing that with others. Well, I love it, and I would very much, um, you know, think that there are other communities out there who would very much benefit from this, and it's a great way to supplement. You know, you have as a shed builder, you know, you have a known fixed cost in that building. I mean, it makes sense, you know, to rent it out. It makes sense to take some of those, you know, sheds that are sitting there, otherwise and make a monthly income off of them. I can't. It's really hard to find a reason why people, you know, wouldn't take this up, other than just the availability of those types of you know, real foods in each of these communities, which does happen, not so much in the Amish Mennonite Plain communities, but you know, just out in the rest of the English world. Sometimes you are in what they call the food deserts, where there's no real food being
Yeah.
produced for miles around. But
Un-
while I have you here,
yeah.
maybe give us a little bit of a. We've got, oh gosh, I don't know, 10 or 12 or 15 minutes left here. You know, maybe
Okay.
give us a little rundown of what is going on in the Central PA shed builders world this year. I know that we talk a lot here on the Shed Geek podcast about the sort of maturing of the industry. We've seen some really big, you know, kind of almost national or you know, very close to being national companies that have grown up and some of which have grown up really fast, and with big networks and big networks of builders. I guess if you don't mind, just what's the feeling in Central PA with so many individual and independent builders, whether they be wholesale or kind of branded manufacturers? Like how are people feeling about being in the shed building business?
So everybody that I talk to is feeling it's not like it was like we are paying for our COVID sins. Like it seems like it borrowed work from now. Like somebody was going to buy a shed, they did it in 2021, 2022, and even 2023 somewhat, but it seems to have slowed down overall the shed purchases or the demand for them. And we went the higher end shed route and really good service. So we do pad installs and delivery and the manufacturing and all name brand products like Sherwin-Williams paint, and like we don't do like there's some Dollar General type shed companies, and we stay off of that road completely. So it's tough. and I'm sure you're well aware of how tough it is. You have to have any margin whatsoever, and to exist, you have to have a premium for your products, and it's not as yeah. I've been in the shed industry for about four-ish years, so it's I'm still learning. There's a lot that I don't know, but just our little the little world that I have here. We're small enough that we don't eat much per se. Like we're not a behemoth of a company by any stretch. The shed division, the parent company is a significant operator, but the shed division here in Pennsylvania is relatively small. So there's not much that we can't weather,
Yeah, right.
But it's tough. It's not what I remember the shed industry being years ago.
Well, yeah, I mean that, and I think kind of people have said that, whether it was the new sales, of course, the new shed sales obviously spiked in that 2021, 2022, fall, spring, type of a time. But then it was also, then the inventory of repos, that continued to kind of work their way through, the market, that are then taking up some amount of space, within new sheds. Maybe they're only taking up space for a kind of more basic shed, but that's not always true. I mean, I'm sure you've seen it just like we have. A lot of sheds that come back, whether it be RTO or whatever the case is. A lot of those sheds that come back wind up going back out the door for 85 or 90%, of that original value a lot of the time, especially if you're going to go on and put some new paint on or whatever else. But yeah, not just the new sheds, then the repos and the old stock working its way back through. I think certainly has put some stress, into that demand curve, if you want to kind of think about it from that macroeconomic perspective. And it's made people, it's like you're saying, where do you find your margin? And it is on the service. You almost have to demand a premium price. And the only kind of thing left, I mean, there are so many companies that are highly competitive on materials and construction quality. So many of those companies are competitive that, like, you really have to be in that customer service space. And then customer service starts to become, you can do really good work, really good customer service, but are you communicating that customer service clearly, both on the front end during the process, giving updates on, when that shed will be delivered, blah, blah, blah. And then on the back end with, following up on making sure that they're, taking care of the seasonal, seasonal maintenance that you should do on a shed. And it's just gotten to be, very big, lift, a very big set of systems and things going on to demand that premium pricing. So I was just curious, we see it we're kind of in the other home of shed building in Western Kentucky, Southern Illinois, of course, the original home of Cook Portable Warehouses, that did really well out this way. And then all the headquarters throughout Western Kentucky, Mayfield and Cunningham, and then down into Tennessee. So, we just kind of see it we're seeing the same things from two different geographic areas, but it seems to be much the same story. So how do you see, I mean, if you don't mind sharing, how things been just so far? We're in very early spring. In fact, I think it still has been quite cold up in PA. How's the spring seeming so far? What's your thoughts?
Running a business means balancing constant daily demands with the pressure to keep growing. The workload, the decisions, responsibility, it never stops. Newfound Solutions is here to take some of that off your plate, giving you the tools and support to move forward with confidence. Have you always wanted to start your own rent-to-own company but don't quite know where to start? RTO Partners is here to help. Overwhelmed by all the moving pieces and running your own rent-to-own program? RTO Smart is a software that encompasses everything you need on one platform. Or leave the rent-to-own up to us and focus on what's more important to you. Newfound Rentals has you covered with traditional rent-to-own options for your customers. Shed Connect understands the complexity of the digital marketplace. We take the hassle out of online sales. Newfound Solutions, 4 powerful sub-brands, helping you succeed across every aspect of your business. Visit newfoundsolutions.com today and let us do the balancing so you don't have to.
So we had a brutal winter in Pennsylvania. We had more snow. Like we had really been lulled to sleep with easy, mild winters for the last 7-8 years. And boy, we really paid for our sins this winter.
Right.
We had a stretch of like below freezing for months, and it really brought the shed tire kickers, lookers to a screeching halt. I mean, it was dead. This particular location was very there wasn't much going on. Now the weather broke it, and just recently it broke, and I have I think 4 pads waiting till the people's yards dry out to get in and put pads in. So it's starting as good of a year as we've had.
Yeah.
So,
right. That's what it seemed. I think that while we can be, some people, and I certainly don't mean to be negative, but while we can evaluate something and say, well, here's the downside, I think the sort of the trends that are going in the other direction are the fact that sheds and portable buildings continue to be the most viable way, that they're effectively now being thought of as permanent structures. They're not. We know that they're not. They are on skids. They can be moved, all those things, but they are being treated in a way by the consumer now in a way that effectively thinks of them as being permanent. And so, in that space, and of course, especially if you're building on site, I guess some guys do, actually fully have a permanent, shed going in right onto a pad. But I guess my point is the consumers are really starting to blur the lines between what that means anyway. These days, gosh, at least in our area, it would be rare that you were to purchase or sell a home that had a shed on it that was not presumed was a part of that property, right? That's not even, at this point, not even really a question. They're being treated in that way. Of course, as they get bigger and more elaborate, that happens as well. But, and I think that trend is going to remain because, custom stick built, structures, on foundation structures. I mean, there's no great path for those to be price competitive with portable buildings. So, as you kind of, talk about maybe that demand curve got a little high during COVID with that extra money sloshing around, and then maybe dipped and is kind of flattening back out. The overall pressures of just actual housing, additional dwelling units, storage units, recreation units. I just don't see those structures. I don't see a lower percentage of those structures being fixed in the future, right? Like as we move forward, they're going to continue to technically be portable structures that this industry produces. So, in any case, hopefully we ended with a rosy evaluation there.
Well, I think just the affordability crisis that is going on, I think, is forcing some people. So, because you can't build much around here for $350,000 to $400,000. Well, all of a sudden, a $60,000 shed that's like, and I'm talking 60,000 finished.
Yep.
A 14 by 30 to live in, all of a sudden that becomes a very attractive factor for some of your mid 20s and early 30-year-olds that don't want saddled with a $4,000 a month payment, mortgage payment. And I think it's, yeah, we're overbuilt. There's more supply here than there is demand currently, but it'll all come out in the wash. You
Yeah.
know, it'll,
And a lot of those wind up, a lot of those central PA sheds wind up kind of everywhere. I mean, a lot of
yeah,
those wind up wholesale and moving, hundreds of miles. So, being overbuilt there has its challenges, but also that tends to, kind of flatten itself out, as it spreads out as well. But I think what you're saying, and I mean, I know, and I've continued to be an advocate for this, is it actually needs guys like me and you,
yes,
a zoning, a zoning person and a city councilman, to be actively saying we actually need to be practical about this, right? We need
yes.
to say that actually you can make that 14 by 30 just as safe, right, as you can any other. I mean, certainly as you can a mobile home, but in a lot of ways they have better options to be fixed than a mobile home does in the first place. Um, so, um, but anyway, we have to be open to that. I was actually, kind of having this conversation, and a gentleman, one of the other gentlemen on the city council with me, he actually built a tiny home on a foundation as an example of what like would be acceptable. Now he started this project like 8 years ago, you know, and like just got it finished, and it cost him $145,000. And I'm like, but you're missing the you're missing the point. You're missing the point. Like that's good. It's good that you came up with something that fits our current zoning, and that matches up with whatever this idealized version of what housing is supposed to be is. But you're not actually solving anyone's problem. You know, like building $145,000. I mean, where we are, that's you can actually just buy a ranch style house that's 900 square feet. You can go buy that for 120. You can save yourself 25. It's an older home, but now you've got 25 less in it, and you can remodel. It's exactly what you're saying. You have to figure out how to deliver those solutions at that 60, 65, $70,000 mark. And it starts to make a lot of good sense for people. And guys like me and you have to, force
Yes.
local government to be practical, not to be some country club where we only accept a home that is built in this very, very particular way that, you can get 98% of the safety, reliability, longevity out of a well-built portable structure as you can, a home that's on a foundation. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And an eye-opening thing for me in the zoning world was you have to look at your little town in 100 years.
yeah,
Like that's kind of the lens you have to look through when you're making decisions, for sure, the big ones. And the jury's still out, I guess, if a town would be well served to litter litter everything with sheds. So it has its place, but we got to get this affordability, like the housing crisis and the like yeah, it's like you said it best earlier in the podcast. The states are what they are, but your locals are what actually benefit your life. Because like your senator and your congressman or woman, they're not gonna they're not gonna affect your life really one way or another. But your locals, the people that you can wave to at the restaurant in the morning for breakfast, those are the ones that can actually have a positive effect and actually change someone's life. So that's
right. That's right. And the zoning man is always the most powerful man in town. I know that firsthand. So you can't fool me, Mr. Troyer. I know the power that you wield out there. So,
well, I'm still learning. It was only a little over a year now that I've been doing it. So um, that's funny.
well, it has been a true pleasure to get to know you, a true pleasure to have a conversation. I think obviously Midway Pharmacy is such a great idea. from all angles. And hopefully that is something that people will start to adopt and start to really think about, start to implement in their own communities. So you were telling me the best way to kind of connect with Middway Farmacy, to connect with you on these ideas, is actually the Middway Farmacy Facebook page. And just to spell that for everyone one more time, that is MIDDDWAY, Middway Farmacy, FARMACY. So go check out Middway Farmacy on Facebook. I know that I'm going to get off this interview here, this podcast, and immediately go give you a follow and check out everything that you've got going on there. Any other way that you would like for people to reach out, an email, phone number? What's the best way, Matt?
Yes, an email, mtthw_Troyer@yahoo.com. So again, mtthw_Troyer@yahoo.com. And if you do get to the pharmacy page and it only has like 4 likes, that's because it only has 4 likes. It's just new.
It's new. Yeah. Let's go give you a like.
Yeah.
Give you a
Just
like,
started.
give you a follow. Really boost it up. So we're counting on you, Shed Geek listenership, to go and support Matt and get that page rocking and rolling. And we will take those links and go ahead and put those into the newsletter as well, so that you can click through and send Matt an email or go and follow the Middway Farmacy Facebook page. Mr. Troyer, thank you so much for being a guest. I truly had a great time with you. Love your insights, love your spirit, and love what you're doing for your community out there in Beaver Springs.
A pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me. And from the bottom of my heart, anybody that wants to do this, I'm not trying to sell something. Reach out. I'll help you in any way I can. And hopefully I can save somebody from having to learn the same lessons I learned. I'll make it as easy on anybody that wants to do this as I possibly can.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And we will see you next time for another
Sounds good.
episode.
Have
of
a
the
good
Shed Geek
evening.
Podcast.
Thanks again, Shed Pro, for being the Shed Geeks studio sponsor. If you need any more information about Shed Pro or about Shed Geek, just reach out. You can reach us by email at info@shedgeek.com, or just go to our website, www.shedgeek.com, and submit a form with your information, and we'll be in contact right away. Thank you again for listening, as always, to today's episode of the Shed Geek Podcast. Thank you and have a blessed day.